Hello, it's me, and I've had some requests to revisit this monster over here. Now, as you recall, this is one of those crazy 3x3 plus puzzles where you have variable bandaging of different centers. Now, when I first did the tutorials on these, it was mostly to kind of document my path through this, just to show that it can be done in the style that I was doing it. But to be absolutely honest with you, it was really designed more for those who had a pretty good idea of how to solve it, but just to kind of show maybe an alternative method, or more just to kind of document for myself how this was. But this was before there was particularly a large amount of viewers. But as viewers were increasing and relying upon these videos to guide them as to how to solve these, it became more and more apparent that it really wasn't ready for, quote, prime time, to be useful to those who might not have had much of experience with supercubes or with puzzles like this. And when reviewing it, there's a lot of issues with clarity. Some of it had to do with the fact that early on when making the videos, there's time constraints, so the video became very choppy as I was trying to narrow it down into a time frame that would make sense, or divide it into a whole bunch of different sections. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to revisit the most monstrous of the 3x3 plus puzzles, which is the Saturn, which may be among the harder of the puzzles to solve of this series. But I'm going to take my time with this and try to put together what I hope to be a more definitive tutorial on how to do this, particularly that last layer. That last layer I've had multiple questions on, so I'm going to see if I can't make it more clear. But let's actually start from the beginning. So with the Saturn 3x3 Crazy Plus Cube, you can see that, in mine anyway, the red side is non-bandaged, which means the center moves the way a normal 3x3 would move, as is the white side, as is the orange side. Sorry about this cap, it popped off and got lost underneath the couch, so I couldn't find it, but it doesn't really matter. So these sides are all non-bandaged. But then you have the top side and the bottom side, in my case green and blue. Now the previous tutorial I did, it was white and yellow, but not so this, so sorry about the confusion there. But for some reason they have different colors that have different bandages. But what defines this as Saturn is there's two that are bandaged, in my case the blue and the green. All the rest are non-bandaged. And this really changes the characteristics compared to the rest. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go through a scramble with this, and then a tutorial, hopefully clarifying some of the points of this that didn't quite make a lot of sense, but I think I know what I need to do to make it more clear. So, abracadabra. Okay, what do we think? Pretty well scrambled? Yeah, I think so. So we're going to divide this monster into sections, and it actually is a pretty straightforward, simple puzzle when doing that. We're going to be doing kind of a quasi-reduction method with this, and what I'm going to be doing is getting the inner and outer edges together. I'm going to start off with one of my bandaged sides, and in this case I'll start off with green, as I'm apt to do. And what I'm really going to be doing, scramble this a little more here, make it challenging, there we go. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to get my cross over here with this bandaged side. So now in yours, your color scheme may be different as long as it's bandaged where the circle doesn't move. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the bottom side, and I'm going to basically find one of these outer edges, a green one, and match it on the bottom side with a green inner edge. So 1, 2, move it here, and that's in. Okay, now the next step that I have to do is I have to now put this outer yellow edge, in this case it's yellow, and match it to an inner yellow edge. But I have to do it based on a certain criteria, because ultimately I'm going to be moving this into here, up here. So because of how some areas are bandaged and some are not, what has to happen is this has to be moved in conjunction with a yellow that's along this orbit. This orbit here or this orbit here, as long as it's an orbit that I can wheel it in like this, from this plane. Now you may ask why. Well, it's going to become apparent as to why that is. Now I'm going to introduce one of the very few algorithms that you really need to know. It's more of a commutator than an algorithm. But basically what it's going to do is it's going to take this and flip it upside down. So while I have green on the top with yellow over here, this will flip this over here to where the yellow's on the top. And upon doing so, I can now turn this into a place where there's a yellow edge, yellow inner edge. And if I wanted it to go from the right side, then I'll hold it here and do F, RI, FI, R. That'll bring it here, from here to here, and then do it again, F, RI, FI, R. The overall effect is this got turned upside down, and so this is free to find a yellow inner edge. So, now it can't just be any yellow inner edge, it has to be within these orbits here. I've got one over here, so the way that I'm going to do this, move it up to this blue banded side. In your case, it might be a different color. Move it in, like so. So now we've basically created this reduced edge, and I'll bring it down here. Now why did I do that? Well, I did that because now I can move it like this, and none of these will move out. So bang, and you can see we're over here nicely. Okay, so let's practice with that again. Let's just find any other outer green portion here, right over here, green and white. Let's do that one. First step, reduce this green to an inner edge, so I have to put it over here so that I can turn it appropriately. And find any one, doesn't matter, even this one. So what I'm going to do is move this here to bring it down. Well, it actually might be best if I were to try to separate it from that. In other words, not use this one. But actually, come to think of it, let me abandon this for a second because they already have this down here, right? So I'm just going to do the green and orange. So I'll move this down here and line this up here. So we're good. Now what I want to do is move the orange one up. So I'm going to flip this by that algorithm. F, R, I, F, I, R, F, R, I, F, I, R, and there it is. So find an orange and put it here. But it's got to be within the correct orbit. So where's the orange center? This poor injured fellow over here. So I have to move it somewhere within this plane. Is there one within this orbit? Not here, and not here. So if that's the case, I can easily fix that. I've got this over here, and I can just turn it like that. Then bang, it's in that orbit, no problems. So what I'm going to do is move it up here, and then move it down. So now this can coincide with this, reduce it, I've got this whole edge here, and then I move this one within the orbit of the center that I just placed. Because now that I've done that, I can just move it up, bang, to the green side. So there are these reduced edges. So great fun, let's keep going. All right, I've got this. So this is a unused green. I might as well prepare for this and move it down here to the blue side. And now let's go ahead and swing this around. So I'm not going to go from here to here, it's going to blast this out. So I'm going to go this way. So if you wanted to move it from the top to the left, this type of swap that's going to happen, this outer edge swap, which also will swap these two, the inner edge as well. In this case now it's going to be F-I-L, F-L-I, brings it here, do it again, F-I-L, F-L-I, there it is here. And we have but to just turn it here and we're good. Now turn this up so that I can get the red one up there. Bang, zoom, pow, splat, crunch, ugh, smash, bang. So there it is. So the red one, but it's got to be a red inner edge within the proper orbit here. So do we see any? No, no, no. Yes, right over here. Right over here. So all I have to do is move it up, turn it in. So that's okay there. Now that I've done that, move this into the orbit of the center that we put in, and all I have to do is bring it up. So we have these three. With the last one, we've got this. I've already got the white one here, but is it the correct white one? And the answer is no. It's not in the right orbit, which should be here. So let's go ahead and bring this green down. And I need to find a green inner edge, which will be here. So let's bring this green down first. I'm just going to do the algorithm to move this up to here. Bang, zoom, pow, smash. There it is. Okay. Now I can move this out of the way. Here's a orphaned green edge. Move it up. Now I got to be careful because I have to be cognizant of what I've done here. So I'm going to move it. Well, why don't we move this? Nah, why make it complicated? I'll just move this up like so. Bring this in, and now to bring this back, move it down. I still want this locked in. So now what I'm going to do is move it up to where the white end is going to be facing up, because I can't use this. This is the wrong one. So, bang, zoom, pow, splat. So let's find the proper white in the proper orbit, which is going to be along here. I don't see it here, and I don't see it here. So this is a good time to explain how to make it happen. Well, I can just move this one in. How? There. Now we're in the right orbit. Move this up. Remember, we just blasted this out, but that's okay. And then go with this green one here, bring it in, and I'll bring it down. So now I have but to take this and go splat. So I have my cross, my first layer cross. Okay, now we're going to go upside down, and we have to put in the cross. We have to reduce the outer and inner edges on all these sides here. And this part's pretty fun. It's pretty easy because we use the same algorithm and just use positioning. So to those of you who like to exalt strategy and minimize algorithms, that's the fun part about this puzzle. So how are we going to do it? Well, let's take a look at some of what we have here. Let's focus on the non-blue inner and outer. Here's this over here. Orange and red. So the orange is here. We can find an orange inner slice over here. Rather, a yellow. We can find a yellow inner slice up here somewhere. If we don't see it, we just put one up there. And it doesn't matter where. I'm not focusing on orbits. It's the second one that we put in that we have to focus on orbits. So here's this over here. So what I can do is just move this up. I know I brought this one up, but that's okay. Watch what I'm going to do. Double turn it here so this is in, and now move this back down. I don't care exactly where this was placed as long as I reduce this edge. Now I'm going to do the algorithm to point the orange one up. And the good thing about the algorithm is it doesn't affect this. So I'm going to hold it here, because from here this will end up facing up. And I'm going to go with my F, R, I, F, I, R. See, didn't affect that. This is good. Now we're over here. So we have to put an orange in within the proper orbit, which will be this. It's the same thing, same concept. Move this out of the way. Bring this up like so. I know we batted this out, but don't worry about that now. And then I just take this reducing edge, go 1, 2. We're in the proper orbit, and just bring it down. Now you may say, wait a minute, we don't have it here, but that's okay. As long as we're in the right orbit, it doesn't matter with this when we put it in, because now we can actually hopscotch this over to here by that same algorithm. So I'm going to move this from here to here by going F-I, L, F, L-I. So you can see it up here. Now I just do it again to bring it down here. Bang, zoom, pow, splat. Look at that. We're fine. That's the magic of the orbits. Now we can continue across. Maybe we want to do the red, the yellow and red, which is right over here. So find any old yellow. The first one that we put in doesn't have to obey the orbital laws. Here's one over here. So move this up, bring it in, and move it down. So we're good. Now all I have to do is just move the red one up. Don't worry about batting this out. It's in the wrong orbit. It's supposed to be here. So what I'm going to do is just bring this up. I don't want to move it from this angle because this will come up like this. We've already put this in. I want the red one up. So bang, zoom, pow, splat. Okay. So now at this point we need to rotate this into a red inner edge. And we'd like it to come from this orbit. But more than likely, you're going to find that you don't find the correct orbit over here. If you don't find the correct orbit, then you have to make it make sense. So the best thing to do is find one that's up here somewhere. Because if it's up here, I can move this in and basically turn it and bring it up, but I got to be careful because I'm about to bat this out of the way. So we need this pretty far out of the way. So what I'm going to do in order to make that happen is I'm going to go ahead and do the algorithm that flips this to here and this to here. But in this case, it's not this that I'm worried about or that I'm trying to affect, it's the inner edge. So I'll do the same algorithm. Now this is just to separate it from this. Boom, bang, zoom, pow, puts it here. Now the next, we'll take this. Alright, so what it did is it took it off the top here. So now I can take this and move it, move it out of the way over here. So now that I've done that, I can move this back. That might be the easiest way of doing this. Okay, so this is moved back. Now that I've taken it out of the way, I can move it in here. Now that I've done that, I can turn this down here. I know I blasted this out of the way, but that's okay. And then I can move this up. I know I blasted this here, but that's okay. We can reduce all that back. So now that this is in the correct orbit, see, just to rehash what I did is I moved this down here so it's in the right orbit, and then I moved it up. And now that I've done that, I can reduce this to here, so we're good. And now we just reanimate it. This is brought back down, kersplat. And now this has to be brought back down, kerplunk. To which case you might say, well, wait a minute, you just took this out of the way, but that's okay, because now we can move this with the algorithms here or here. Because this is yellow, it goes over here. So, F, R, I, F, I, R, this is in, this is good, this is good. All right, so we'll keep going. Red and white. Where is it? Right over here, red and white. Well, let's move it up so that we can start the process. I see two whites here, so we can just move this up because it doesn't matter any orbits with the first one. So, same algorithm, moving it up and just move it in. Now that we've done that, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to flip it to where the red is now facing up. Now you may say, well, wait a minute, these are in place, are we going to knock these out? And the answer is yeah, momentarily, but that's okay. Go ahead and do it until you bring this up. So it's down here, and I'll bring it up here. And there it is. Now once you've done that, you're going to end up with this, which should be here to here. As long as you're doing that algorithm, you're not going to switch orbits. So now that I have this here, I want to put this back in, but if I put this back in, this will come right back here and will be no better when we started, because this algorithm takes this, puts it here, this comes to here, and this comes to here. So before doing anything, let's take this and just move it down to here. Get it out of the way. Okay, so now it's over here. So now what I'm going to do is move this back. So with this leapfrogging algorithm, there's a lot you can accomplish. Now what I want to do is I want to take this and move it once again back up here. So I'm going to do it from this side. And there we go. So all is fine. The end result is this was moved where it needed to be, and these are moved back. So I need the red in the proper orbit. We have it over here, so just move it here, and now we can just take this and shimmy it on down here. So again, we're reducing the middle edges at this point. So now we have white and orange. It should be up here somewhere. Okay, white and orange. I'll just move this here. So now, bang, that's reduced. Now I've got to turn this upside down. You can see that there's these in the way, but that's okay. We know how to deal with that. We go turn, 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 then do it again. Turn, 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 turn. I'd like to move this down, but let's move this out of the way again first. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it down to here. Turn, 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 come back to here to replace this. Turn, turn, turn. Okay, so that leaves this one ready to go back up here now that we've taken it out of here. So, turn, 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 turn. Okay. Now that we've done that, I'm looking for something in the right orbit, which is right over here. Move this in, and again, another hop, skip, and a jump to bring this to here. So, turn, 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 turn. Okay. And here you have the middle layer. Now, if there's any situations that can crop up that wasn't covered with this, let me know. I invite you to look at the previous tutorial, which I think was going to be on part 1 of the last Saturn tutorial, and I think I went through other potential scenarios. Most of it has to do with getting things into the proper orbit if it's not there. If you don't see it here, then it's going to have to be placed at the top here, in which case you're going to move it over, move it down to put it in the right orbit. If you don't have any on the top, but you have it at the side, then it's just a matter of doing that algorithm that we said, which will eventually take it from here and then put it to the top, and then you can do it. So hopefully that won't cause much of an issue.